Nintendo, notoriously secretive, has so far said nothing, or almost nothing, on the record about its next game console. As Nintendo Switch approaches its 7th birthday in March 2024, questions about how much longer it will last are natural. 7 years is a typical lifespan for a console generation. Switch sales are falling fast, and the technology powering the console is showing its age. But Nintendo has flatly refused to engage with those questions. Behind the scenes, however, Nintendo is gearing up for the release of its new machine, briefing its partners, and releasing development kits. Information has started to leak, and a picture of what form the console will take has begun to emerge, as well as when we can expect to hear about it and when we can expect to buy new one. It's no surprise that Nintendo is treading carefully. The Switch has been an enormous success. It's the third best-selling console of all time, behind only PlayStation 2 and Nintendo's own DS handheld, which presents both a big opportunity and a big risk. Historically, Nintendo has struggled to follow its most popular formats. Wii and DS were followed by the flop of Wii U and the relative disappointment, in sales terms, of 3DS. Nintendo's usual insistence on hardware innovation has proven as likely to alienate its audience as to find a new one. Nintendo might be remaining tight-lipped about the long-rumored Switch 2, still the same can't be said for leakers and tipsters who continue to offer tidbits of information about the upcoming handheld console. Without so much as a hint of an official statement from Nintendo saying they're working on the Switch 2, the internet has seen a surge in word on the upcoming console, from what we can expect to play on it, to a recent rumor indicating its release date and price. Nintendo hasn't indicated when the Switch 2 will be released, but we have a few clues. VGeeks sources said the console was planned to debut in the second half of 2024, so, sometime between the start of July and the end of December. This fits with what we know about declining Switch sales, the stage Nintendo is at in development of the new console, and the release schedule for Switch games. Nintendo has previously ruled out releasing a new console before the end of March 2024, and it now has Switch games scheduled through summer 2024. The latest release on the current schedule is Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, which has been given a summer 2024 slot. It's also worth noting that the recently announced remake of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door doesn't have a more precise release date than 2024. All signs point to a hardware release in fall 2024, with Nintendo reportedly hoping to stockpile enough consoles to avoid shortages during the holiday shopping season. It was always safe to assume that the new Switch would arrive at some point in 2024, given Nintendo's history of console launches. That assumption has since been backed up by reports, including one from Video Games Chronicle citing sources who claim the company is likely to launch its next console in the second half of 2024. Previously, Nikkei Asia shared a similar but less detailed report about the Switch 2. Development seems to be progressing well, a source close to Nintendo told Nikkei Asia in May. But a product launch won't happen before next spring at the earliest. The company also hosted a Nintendo Direct live stream on September 14th and seems to have featured a hint about the Switch 2 release date. Nintendo shared new information about several upcoming games, including Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, which is set to debut in summer 2024. It's the furthest out of any Switch game Nintendo has revealed so far, and if the rumors about the Switch 2 are true, it may well be one of the last. In October, the most specific release date leak to date surfaced, as Discord user Soldier Delta claimed that the next general Switch, which Nintendo is apparently calling NG internally, will launch on September 24, 2024. They also hedged a bit by noting that there is also a placeholder date in early November, but either way, still a fall launch for the Switch 2. Given a pair of recent rumors have popped up hinting at and teasing the existence of a Switch 2, we would cautiously suggest a second-generation Switch could arrive over the next 12 months. It's apparently set to be released around the same time as the PS5 Pro. While we had originally hoped Nintendo's latest hardware could arrive in 2023, during the company's annual financial report, President Shuntaro Furukawa confirmed there are no plans to release any hardware during the next fiscal year. This means we should not expect the Switch 2 until sometime after March 2024. A release in the first quarter of 2024 was given some weight by a report from Chinese investment site Money DJ, which, when outlining the production outlook at Hongzhen, a metal cases manufacturer and subsidiary of Honhair Technology Group, expects the company to benefit from the launch of the Switch 2, presumably by manufacturing parts of the console. The same publication then reported that sources from a CMOS sensor provider, which has Nintendo as a customer, noted that a new Japanese game console is due to launch in early 2024. We take that to be referring to the Nintendo Switch 2. The majority of reports suggest that a launch in 2024 is being targeted, but sources with knowledge of Nintendo's next general console plans suggest Nintendo is planning for a release date in the second half of next year. However, a new analyst report has gone against the grain and indicated that a release in March or April 2024 could be on the cards, as this would help Nintendo counter the current sales momentum of the PS5. A new rumor claims that a late summer launch could be possible. A job listing for a marketing intern at Nintendo notes that the June to August period could be a particularly busy period, suggesting there could be a major marketing campaign happening at the time. In all likelihood, Nintendo has yet to land on a final price as of fall 2023, but that hasn't stopped the rumor mill from churning. The controversial leaker Zippo shared quote from a source who supposedly has knowledge of Nintendo's plans. If the Switch 2 is as much of a leap forward as some of the rumors suggest, $400 seems like it could be in the realm of possibility. The Switch launched at $300 in 2017, and the OLED model retails for $350. $400 for a hybrid console with an LCD display does seem pretty pricey, but it's what's under the hood that will determine the price tag. That $400 price tag was backed up by the same Discord user, who claims Nintendo will launch a digital-only Switch 2 for $400 and a Switch 2 that can play physical game cartridges for $450. While every Switch model has a cartridge slot, Sony and Microsoft each launched digital-only versions of their consoles this generation at lower price points. If this rumor is true, it seems like Nintendo will follow suit in 2024. There's precious little in the way of hints about Nintendo Switch 2's features, but we can apply some educated guesswork. If the Switch 2 sticks to the same control scheme as the Switch, we'd like to see it improve the Joy-Cons so they suffer less from potential stick drifting, and have analog triggers for more precise control in the likes of racing games. Some tweaks to the ergonomics, if Nintendo does indeed stick with the Switch's core design, would also be appreciated with the Switch 2. And we'd like to see a boost in battery life, as the Switch tends to run out of juice in a handful of hours when running games like Breath of the Wild. A bigger battery would certainly help make it a more viable gaming machine for things like long international flights. One other feature we'd like to see is improved Wi-Fi connectivity for the Nintendo Switch 2. It might not be the first upgrade that springs to mind, but better Wi-Fi can be a dramatic upgrade when it comes to things like game streaming or simply downloading games at speed. On the display side, we can see the Switch 2 going for an OLED panel, much like that of the Switch OLED. But hopefully, a boost in refresh rates would be good, say taking the 60Hz display and boosting it to 120Hz, as seen in the best phones. There are no rumors to support this, but we've got our fingers crossed. However, Sharp, which makes the current Switch displays, has said it's working on a new LCD panel for a new gaming console, that could be the Switch 2. If that is the case, then it could be disappointing, as the Switch 2 will come with more dated screen tech than the Switch OLED. There's a chance Sharp could be referring to another as yet unannounced console. But we're a little concerned the Switch 2 might not use OLED panels as standard. Our fears have been further increased by a recent rumor suggesting the Switch 2 will launch with an LCD display in order to keep production costs down. And a new rumor from tipster Nate the Hate further adds fuel to the rumor that the Nintendo Switch 2 could have an LCD display. We can expect Nintendo to stick with a system on a chip from Nvidia, likely some next-generation take on the aged Tegra X1 chip found in the current Switch. We'd not be surprised if Nintendo got a custom chipset from Nvidia as well, given the success and scope of the Switch. But advancements by AMD, as seen with the Valve Stream Deck, could put Team Red with an outside chance of providing the silicon for a next-generation Switch. But we'd still are on the side of Nvidia. In fact, after a chaotic rumor tipping a Tegra chip based on Samsung's 5nm process node, which was then refuted by the tipster it originated from, we feel that the Nintendo Switch 2 will definitely have some form of Nvidia chip at its heart. It would be difficult to guess at potential power or clock speeds. But we'd like to hope that Nintendo taps into enough CPU and GPU power to deliver a next-gen gaming experience. There were murmurs of a potential co-processor chip to live in the dock of a Switch 2 or the once-rumored Nintendo Switch Pro. This extra chip would be used to boost the console's power and video output when docked and connected to a 4K TV. Such a feature would be neat, but rumors around it have fallen quiet. Onboard storage has been tipped at 512GB, which would be a significant upgrade over the 32GB and 64GB of the original Switch and Switch OLED respectively. In the VGC article, the publication also cited two sources who claim the Switch 2 will launch with an LCD display instead of OLED to bring down costs. Those same sources also believe that the new console will have a cartridge slot for physical Switch games. In recent weeks, YouTuber Red Gaming Tech has also been posting videos purported detailing the specifications of the Switch 2. In his latest video, published on September 15th, he claims the console will feature an 8-core Cortex-A78 CPU, or GPU with 12 streaming multiprocessors, SM, 12GB of LPDDR5 RAM, 256GB of flash storage, and DLSS support. With these specs, the new console should target performance within about 10 to 20% of the Xbox Series S. Furthermore, VGC and Eurogamer reported that Nintendo demoed the Switch 2 to developers at this year's Gamescom, which took place in late August. Sources say that Nintendo showed off a souped-up version of Switch launch title Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Epic Games' The Matrix Awakens Unreal Engine 5 tech demo. When pondering whether or not The Matrix Awakens could run on Switch 2, Digital Foundry said that The Matrix Awakens on Switch 2 is plausible, but perhaps in the same way that Doom 2016 and The Witcher 3 are plausible, when viewed through the lens of what expert programmers can realistically achieve with more resource-constrained hardware. One feature we really hope to see in the Nintendo Switch 2 is backwards compatibility, especially given the appetite we've seen for such capabilities on the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Hopefully, running older Switch games on newer hardware would result in a performance boost and improved visual fidelity. Rather worrying is a new rumor has claimed that backwards compatibility for Switch games might not happen for the Switch 2. That would be a bit disappointing and would need Nintendo to have a stellar launch lineup for a next-gen Switch if it won't rely on its older and established game library. We have also argued that backwards compatibility will need to extend to the Switch Joy-Cons as well. Backup Joy-Cons can be an expensive extra for the current Switch, so if they are rendered moot with the Switch 2, that could be rather disappointing, and we'd hope other existing Switch accessories like the Ring Fit Adventure and external controllers would also be usable with the Switch 2. A new Mario game has been tipped for the Nintendo Switch 2. And it'll apparently be based on the established Unreal 4 engine. Plus, there are also reports that Final Fantasy VII Remake looks and runs like a PS5 game on the Switch 2. The 2020 game could be a pretty excellent showcase of the device's power at launch. A recent Eurogamer report claims that select developers were given a behind-closed-doors look at the Nintendo Switch 2 at the Gamescom 2023 trade show in Germany. The website's sources suggest that Nintendo demoed a new version of Breath of the Wild to show off the Switch 2's power, but it's unknown if a refreshed port of the game will ever be released to the public or if it was just for demoing purposes. We can likely expect to see big first-party games come to the Switch 2, say a new Zelda game at some point. And likely a new version of Mario Kart. But potential other games exist only in the realms of speculation and imagination at this time. Regarding its name, the answer is that we don't know. It's worth noting that Nintendo has never before named its consoles in numerical sequence, even when they were direct follow-ups to a previous generation, such as the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Game Boy Advance, and Nintendo 3DS. Super Nintendo Switch, or Super Switch, has a certain ring to it, if you ask us. But for now, Switch 2 is a serviceable shorthand. The answer here appears to be yes. Recent reporting by VGC, citing multiple sources after dev kits arrived at partner studios, said that the console would be able to be used in portable mode, similar to the Nintendo Switch. There's no word yet on whether the console will feature detachable Joy-Con controllers like the Switch, or whether it will have a handheld-only variant like the Switch Lite. But early signs are that Nintendo is keen to follow closely in the footsteps of the 120 million-plus selling Switch. Of all the console manufacturers, Nintendo's ties to the retail industry are perhaps the strongest, stronger even than Sony's, so Nintendo is extremely unlikely to go digital only for the Switch 2, even if this would seem to make sense for a portable machine. Indeed, VGC's report included the detail that the new console will have a cartridge slot for physical releases. This is as close to a dead cert as we can get with the Switch 2, and it also happens to support the machine having the same or similar form factor as the Switch, as well as increasing the likelihood of backward compatibility. Can the Switch 2 hold off these portable PC wonder devices and cling to its title of the world's best handheld? Only time will tell, but what we do know is that Nintendo will also have to keep an eye on both Apple and Samsung, both of which are making a push for console-level titles to appear on their flagship smartphone devices. Handheld gaming is becoming more popular and powerful than ever, and Nintendo won't be able to rest on the many laurels deservedly earned from the Switch's success. With rumors circulating that the next Switch console will be able to run PS4-level titles, Nintendo may already find itself at the back of the pack when it comes to graphics, with other devices already bragging about their ray tracing potential and shockingly powerful portable performance. Of course, rumors are rumors, and we should take them all with a pinch of salt. But who isn't excited to see Nintendo's next hardware offering? As explained, it's still early days on these Switch 2 rumors, with not a lot of hard and fast information floating around. Nintendo is famously tight-lipped about what it's working on, so we can't expect to see a myriad of leaks anytime soon. But the time is arguably nigh for a new and more powerful Switch or overall Nintendo console. And the Nintendo Switch 2 is the only answer.